All right, well, welcome everybody. This is our no longer just the migration update. This is now our weekly update. And so we're happy to see that Anthony is back with us. I was going through withdrawal. We already talked about that before we started recording. All right, so what's happening? April 1st is coming up really, really fast. And I'm a big movie buff, so we're going into ludicrous, maybe even to plaid speed here soon, but we are ready. So on this side of things, True Payroll is definitely ready to get everybody migrated over. And we've got some staff ready to do what we need to do in order to make that happen. And again, it'll just be in incremented stages. But before we get there, there is one other piece of general information. There is some more preparation that I will need from all of you. And for Anthony, this doesn't apply to you. You're in a not-for-profit. So, or actually, no, I take that back. No, because of the type of not-for-profit, this doesn't apply to you. So, unless you elected to do it, and I don't recall off the top of my head. But anyway, Florida is really far behind in issuing their rate notices, and those have just come out in the last week to 10 days. In other states, I can't say as I noticed it. Normally these come out in December for the beginning of the year. If those rate notices are coming in, we definitely want to get a copy of those so that we can adjust for, if an adjustment is needed, that we can adjust for the current year's rate. Every year, every state goes through the same process. They evaluate, depending on the state, can be a year, 2, 3 years back, looking at who has made claims to your for unemployment, and then that adjusts and affects your specific rate. When that comes in, scan it, email it, take a picture, text it to us, however you'd like to. Other than smoke signals, I don't know how to read them, but otherwise just get that over to us. That's the only update that I actually have for the week. There's no platform updates for that are visual in nature to show. I can share that there are some really, really, really cool design features that have come up with this setup and how to make things work really just easy. Oh, I can't wait. This is so exciting to see how all of the challenges that not only that we faced, but that you guys face, and how those things are being solved. It is just incredible. So, Anthony, here we are. That's my update. What kind of questions have come up for you in the last 2 weeks? And if there aren't any and we're just going to chit chat, let's do that too. Everybody can just listen to us chitter chatter.
Oh, that's wonderful. I enjoy our chats always, Al, so it's great. We learn a lot and we have fun doing it. So it's always a wonderful experience. So because I haven't had a chance to check the last 3 or 4 weeks to see what I missed, were there any other updates on timelines as to specific companies and how you're going to swing us over to the new system? Or is that still is that starting April 1st, or is it starting before April 1st with the migration?
Technically, April 1st is a Friday. That weekend, migration it's scheduled to begin. So between when people log off Friday and they go to log in on Monday, on the 4th, there'll be a group of people that will go somewhere different.
Okay. And so you're still doing it in stages.
Yeah, that's directed by the folks over at Wholesale Payroll and the development team, and how to make that the most effective. And Florida customers are definitely going to be going first. And then those that are operating in multiple states, they're going to be at the end.
Right, because that's obviously much complicated. Okay, so starting April 1st, still staggered. And do you have a time by which you would plan to have everybody over, or is that still kind of dependent on how the transition goes?
Well, that's a great question, and it's actually it's a yes to both. So the plan is to have everybody migrated over by the end of April. So everybody by May 1st is on the new platform, and whether or not it will change. We got some conversation. Just shut those for a second. no matter how that really plays out, Anthony, as long as there's no catastrophic failure in the migration process, then we will have everybody moved over for a May start for all.
Okay. Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah,
good.
unless
So
there's
that
some
gives
kind
my-
of thing that breaks that just prevents us from doing something. But there will be the month of, so next month, there will be a period of time where some of our customers will be the quote unquote guinea pig. While they won't know it, because you're not going to switch over, we're going to use live data. And as things happen, we're going to just put them over and run it dual and make sure that things from that pay run equal this pay run. And that's the approach for the quality assurance and testing, and make sure tax calculations come out right and all that kind of good stuff.
Right. Okay. So carry the data over, mimic 2 payroll runs in the old and new system, see if they
Yeah.
match. Then once you're comfortable, you know that everything's good, then you can transition, assume that everybody else is going to be fine, and then transition them over as well. So once you
Yeah.
test a batch of customers to see if everything's
Exactly.
good.
Yep.
Now, here's a question. This goes back to when you were originally talking about the system. You also said that there was something that our employees would need to do. I think it was verification of bank accounts and that kind of stuff.
Correct.
Is that still the case with the
Yes.
transition?
Yes.
Okay.
We
So
here-
go ahead.
Yeah, at True Payroll, we don't, once an employee has their information entered into the system, it gets truncated, right? So you only see the last 4 digits of socials there is a way to get to social security numbers. It's not plainly obvious, so I don't like to talk about it.
Right.
Because it just adds confusion. The bank information, there is no way it gets locked down completely unless we have maintained. So unless a customer has actually given us the information to enter in, and we've then saved that information for the last 6 months, we have prior to that. It's not necessarily guaranteed that we saved it, more for a security reason. Let's shred that, let's delete it, let's not have that be accessible in the event of a hack or something, where the majority of employees in our platform currently as customers, we don't have it. We don't have a record of it. So the choice is twofold. One, we have the www.truepayroll.com/employee, where an employee can go in, they will only put in the last 4 digits of their social, but they're going to fill out their profile there, which including their bank information, which will then provide us with that, and we'll match those 2 things together. We can match what they're putting in. We'll know that we know the last 4 digits. So as long as they're not changing their bank information at that moment, we can bring all of that together so that it's ready to go day one. The second choice, and I have a suspicion most people are going to end up by default going there because they're not necessarily watching or reading how the migration is going to take place. There will be a series of emails that'll start to come out, as well as our weeklies, to instruct people on those steps. So the second option is, once the company is migrated into the new platform, those that we know were on direct, because we know who is and isn't on direct deposit, those who were on direct deposit will be notified, provided we have their email and or their cell phone number. For those that we don't, there'll be a list in the dashboard that says, hey, these employees were direct deposit, we don't have complete bank information, they need to be notified. So then that can be initiated, they can log into their account, and we don't have their email or cell phone to alert them. That's got to get put in, then they'll get a notification, access their account, and they can do it on their own. So there might be the first week of payroll may default to a check if the information isn't available to us at that point.
Perfect. Okay. So
Does that
I
make
can
sense?
see, yes, it does. So in our case, we run the payroll on March 31st. I'm just thinking ahead. So let's say we
Yeah,
pay
let's look at the calendar.
March 31st, we'll still be in the old system. Then
Yep.
on I don't know what day in the week March 31st is, or whatever the last
Thursday.
That's a Thursday. Okay, so it
Uh-huh.
will be March 31st because that can't be a holiday or a weekend then. So we'll have a payment that day, and let's assume that we get migrated on April 1st. Then I would have 2 weeks before the next payroll to chase our staff to get them
You're on the last day and the 15th.
15th and the last day. Yeah. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you would have until the 13th to ensure that
Yeah.
that information is in.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
Yep.
And then that
Great
will
example.
be yeah, that would be very helpful. I have the 2 weeks to go in, play with it, and then chase all the employees and make sure. I should be able to check to see if you have emails in the system for the people.
Yeah.
I assume, I believe we do, because I believe that everybody in our company is notified when I hit the button and a payroll has been, like this morning, I went in and did the payroll for the 15th because today is the 11th and with the weekend, today was the day to do that. I hit the button, and I believe at that point, an email gets sent to everybody in our payroll system with a message, hey, this is what your payroll is going to be on the 15th.
Yes.
So I'm
So as
pretty
long
sure
as-
that everybody in
I'm
our
going
system.
logging in just now to check it too. So
Yeah, okay.
and it's actually a good exercise for everyone. We're just going to look at your account. Obviously, I'm not going to share that on the screen, but we'll look. I'll look
No
at
worries.
this screen. It's taking its good old time. There we go. Let's take a look. There we are. I think the best way to do this is through the reports tab in the employee details screen. And yes, so you do have, oh, no, she's got it there. Okay, so you can see emails. Their date of birth. So at least one of your folks doesn't have a date of birth in there. 2, 3, 4 of your active folks don't have dates of birth, and 1,
Okay.
2, 3 don't have a hire date. Not critical. However, with what's coming in the system for additional features, having those bits of information available to put over, so you can either do that now or later. You could wait on some of that, Anthony, and allow the employee to complete their own profile. I would encourage everyone to fill out as much as possible in the new system, because of the triggering events that you can set to do a variety of different things. So the hire date becomes important, and dates of birth can become important. Just depends on what you want to, how much of the features you want to utilize. And by the end of the year, we have a lot of very cool things to be able to utilize when those features become available. So basically what's going on too, Anthony, is in April and in May, our customers are going to experience the new platform, but not necessarily all of the features that solve all of the issues that we've really identified. What everybody's going to experience is what you get today is what you get in April and May. And then basically in May and June and then forward, all new things are going to start to get done. So, or released. Yeah.
Yes.
So it's very, very cool.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's a logical way to do it. I think you'd overwhelm if you had all the features up front, whereas you want to make sure that the basic features are fundamentally sound before you start adding extra features, right? Like that seems to be a very smart way to roll it out.
It's I wish it was that logic. The logic basically is manpower to development hours in order to, because we have to be able to provide you with the exact same things that you have today. Otherwise, who wants to take a step backwards, right? And there are, coming out of the gate, there are a number of pieces that are already solved for and provided that are just much more than what we're currently used to. There are other features that got tabled that we don't currently have, that we know we want and need in order to really be a dominant player for wholesale payroll, I should say, to be that dominant player in the market.
Right.
So,
okay, well, it's cool. That's a really good update, and refreshes my memory as to what I need to look at between now and then. And
so I'm also going to encourage. Here is where I think, for you and for others, So you have your active list, the folks that work for you now. What about the folks in history? When you're on that payroll details report, if you scroll to the bottom, there's an option to click a link that says show inactive employees, and then you'll get all their details too. So
Okay.
you have all of these past employees. So if they're in the system now, I would encourage everybody to complete as much of that as possible before the migration happens, because they're not necessarily people that we would contact when they migrate over, but that history is all coming. You don't lose any of this.
Okay. But
Right,
if
so
they're inactive, will you be contacting them or sending them an
No.
email? No, you will
Nope.
not. So
We
we
will
should
not do
double
that.
check our inactives. Okay. I'll do it.
I think it would be prudent because that information is coming over, and if somebody wants to be fully prepared, it's the inactives that you would want to go in and really take a look and see that you've got as much of their profile completed as possible before April. The banking information is not relevant because if they not active, who cares? And I don't say that cavalierly. We really don't care because we're
Right.
never going to process it. And if you do rehire them, well, they may actually have new information. So during the rehire process, you got to send them their access anyway. And once they're in, they can update their banking information on their own.
Right. Right.
And if here's another side of it too. If they're currently, if you rehire somebody and they're currently working for another one of either True Payrolls or another provider who's on the platform, then their information's already there. All they got to do is click connect between the invite that you send
Yep.
to them and their existing profile, and
Right.
done. There's
Right,
nothing
'cause they
other
have
than
one
to click the
profile.
button.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have one profile or object for True Payroll is what you're saying. So it's because you guys are
Well, within
managing
the
so many
wholesale
companies.
payroll platform. Yeah, within the wholesale
Payroll
payroll platform. It
platform,
doesn't,
yes.
it isn't restricted just to True Payroll. So
Right.
employees are really a piece of the wholesale payroll platform, and we
Right.
as providers access their record
Right, so
on behalf of our customers.
True Payroll is accessing wholesale payroll. Am I get the right name right?
Correct. You are.
So True Payroll is a customer of wholesale payroll,
It
and you're
is.
hoping to have other companies like yourself work through wholesale payroll. Is that already the case?
Yeah. It's really, I was just on almost an hour and a half call with one of our advisors, and we were going over, so as a CPA, Anthony, you would appreciate this. So one of the things that we do right in the auditing world was if we've got to go do a sample, we have to know what the population size is for whether it's inventory or accounts receivable, whatever it is. And then we got to run it through the thing, right? What's our confidence level, margin of error, blah, 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 and come up with our sample size. And then extrapolate, of course, at that point, is the customer doing it right or they're doing it wrong? Well, same thing happens in exit polls and all the rest of those things. We've been wholesale payroll through Dataset Go has over the course of the last 6 months has had about 10 or 11 different people reaching out, making phone calls to a very specific targeted list of folks who I always find it funny right now to say this, they've identified themselves as payroll providers. It's a part of their service offering. And it cracks me up because I identify as male, female. No, you don't identify, you are or you aren't. Anyway, whole nother subject. Let us say in the wholesale payroll platform, you will have 3 choices: female, male, prefer not to say. That's it. There is no other thing. Sorry, not sorry.
Well, yeah, otherwise you've got unlimited options, right? And that becomes.
It's ridiculous. So genetics are genetics, period. And he created us male and female. That's it.
Amen.
Anyway, yes. So off of that part, well, now everybody's experiencing what everybody in the office does. Al just stops in the middle sentences. What was I talking about?
I thought you'd frozen. I thought Zoom had frozen you for eternity.
Oh, I froze all right, but it was all up here.
You froze, Zoom didn't.
What the heck are we talking about?
We're talking about the gender thing, and then you were talking, I'm not sure what the next step was. but
What was
about
before
different
that?
options.
Gosh,
That's okay. Save it for next week.
I have to rewatch the video and listen to myself. What was I talking about? My mind is gone completely blank on that one. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know we're talking about the
Gender options. You were talking about male,
the
female.
inactive list. Oh, yeah, it was just okay, right. We were talking about getting a full completed rundown. And so that I would include things like male, female, all of the non-essential payroll pieces to calculate payroll. However, there is the other side of, and it's state driven and by size, fill out as much of the demographic information as possible, because there are insights coming with how wholesale payroll. Oh, gosh, that triggered it.
Good.
You were asking, we hope to have this done, and we were talking about the other and identifying, but anyway, there is in the population of the kids that we're calling and whatnot. So we've had a group of kids through Dataset Go reaching out to this targeted list of people who identify as payroll providers. And it's been when you do that kind of campaign, I don't know if you've ever done it in your career, we're talking about sample sizes and whatnot. The industry
Yes, a
has
little bit.
about 131,000 people in it in the United States that are in the space of providing payroll. Our population size was about 7,700. We've contacted just over 5,000 thus far. And in that group, we've had a 4% rate of people, just of gross numbers, saying, yes, I'm very interested in looking at something that actually works, right? Because they're making a call saying, hey, we've got a new platform coming out. We'd like you to take a look at it. This is some of the things that it solves for. Would you be interested? 4% are saying yes. That's a phenomenal rate. Then we took a look, then we looked at the data and we said, okay, and this is one of the data analysts that said this. Well, you don't really want to look at that number. You really want to look at the number that you physically talk to and the number of those people that have said yes. Right? That jumps to almost 15%.
That's it. That's awesome.
Well, what's it tell us, Anthony?
It tells us it's a lot. Yeah, it tells us a lot of people are not happy with their payroll. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And so it really is a validation of where we've come from.
Right.
The nearly 2 decades, more than 2 decades of being in the space, going,
right.
This is just frustrating. There's got to be a better way. And that we're not alone, and our customers are not crazy for asking for different things that we go, can't provide, it's not available. There isn't any other solution that's really doing this, blah, and that kind of thing, blah, I go, blah, blah, blah. So what it tells me is at the professional level of those that are sitting in my shoes all across the country, there is a really strong, high percentage of people that are fed up, just fed up. And we're talking box stores, essentially. I think of who are the dominant players in the space, and those dominant players are really very, very box store like, and they don't really care about the individual customer. That their job is to maintain the box, and they're doing that. And we all just go, well, that's the way it's got to be, because that's the way it is. Yeah, I'm a Game of Thrones fan, and so if anybody knows anything about that, the main character who wants to take over the world there is the young girl, the blonde, and her famous phrase is, "We're going to break the wheel, the breaker of chains." And those, and while I do not identify as a female, I definitely identify as a breaker of chains. So let's get rid of this stuff that just doesn't work, and it doesn't have to be status quo anymore. And what we really have found from our actual activity and our data now supports everything that we thought. and it's really, really fascinating to see it. And then now, as we're getting closer, this month is going to be a very interesting and I dare say critical month. And by the end of it, we should have access to, and by we, I really mean me, and thereby customers, in the sense that I'm going to end up probably changing this up a little bit. And when I share the screen, it'll end up being a sandbox where I, as the guinea pig of the platform, basically will be walking through and showing real life examples of how it works. And I'm thoroughly excited. What are we at, the 11th? So we're talking about 2 more weeks. 2 more
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
we're close. We're real
Yeah,
close.
I know. That's exciting.
It's,
Well, I know
can't wait.
my observation from what you're saying is I totally agree with you. If you've got that kind of numbers of people who are willing to consider your platform, the only reason people are going to be willing to move is if they're not happy with what they're dealing with, or they can see the value in something better that makes the move worthwhile. And if you're
Right.
talking to that many people, that really tells you a lot about where payroll's at out there.
And we haven't had anything to show them.
Mm-hmm.
Let that sink in for a minute.
Right.
They're just hearing that there's an idea and a new software coming to market.
Right.
So it's theoretical when they're being asked. It's
Right.
not like we can say, hey, go check this out and let us know
Right.
what you think. No,
Right.
there's, in a sense, these are people being explained that there's a vaporware, right? It's not real yet. I mean, it's very
Right.
real to what's going on, and we know it's
Right.
there.
Right.
However, getting a call, picking it up and going, yeah, you got what coming? Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is, it's disturbing.
Disturbing
it's
from this.
exciting.
Yeah. It's when I say it's awesome for you, for what you have the potential to do at wholesale payroll. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
That's
you're
cool.
right. And where my heart lies with all of that,
Yeah.
Anthony, is that I think a lot of people, I don't think I'm alone in this. If we can solve pain points for people, the satisfaction that brings, forget anything else. Just to be able to say to somebody, you're still dealing with it like that.
Right.
What would it be like to add all of that time across all your customers back to your life? Remove that level of frustration, get rid of the stress for your customer, get rid of your stress, and it just works.
Yeah.
The level of job satisfaction, I truly believe, is going to go through the roof. I think the experience level satisfaction, time will tell, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
well,
yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting.
Well, payroll is really a very, very critical component in any company's infrastructure system, because you don't want frustrated employees, and you want to make sure that it's timely and you've got all the legal aspects that you've got a framework within which, so it has to work, and it has to work well. Otherwise, it's just going to be a frustration for everyone. Just totally makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah. The thing about it too is it's not really rocket science. We know what the formulas are. You can do it by hand. We're really talking about ease of use and time savings.
Yeah.
And because we're going to make an underlying assumption, for right or for wrong, that it's going to do the calculations correctly, that it's going to work. Now it's a matter of, and I can't tell you that I know a platform out there that part doesn't work. It's the how to use that in a way that delivers what the employees want to experience, what the employers want to experience, what the professionals want to experience, and that's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else in that equation, all of the different agencies and tax dollars, the banks and all that, they're secondary to the entire thing. While obviously in the scope of what payroll is extremely critical,
right?
We do have to make It's not even an assumption. We just have to know that that bridge is created and it's not going to fall down in any way, shape, or form, so that they're satisfied. With them being satisfied, how do you satisfy the end users? And it's really interesting. In a call with the UX developer, he's on the DataSet Go website, his name's Garrett. He's gone out and just kind of looked at some of how other solutions resolve some of the issues. And what was really interesting is it became clear to him, as he's looking at all those from a developer's point of view, they just went, the heck with it. This is how we're going to do it. We're not even going to worry about trying to solve that user's experience. We're going to do it this way because that's how we're going to get to the finish line, versus doing it what I would say is the correct way to provide the best level of experience you can at those three stages, because they're all very different user experiences. And so you have to accommodate really the general population as well as the ones, so that you got to accommodate the bell curve.
Right.
And you want to shorten that so the bell curve is taller, right? And it goes up like that. So I think he's done it. Based on what I've seen, I think he's done a fantastic job of actually getting there with the user in mind. And it is causing consternation. There is no question. It's like, okay, then we have to do this, 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 and this in order to make that do what you're suggesting the user wants and needs. Okay, yeah. Don't shortcut it. Like, okay, we won't. That's cool.
Good. Yeah, no, that's great. Fantastic. Sounds like you're well on your way. That's awesome. Sounds like things are
kind of scary now that I think about it. Talking to you, like,
I know.
7 weeks.
You're gonna have some stressful weeks over the next month or two, but I'm sure you'll get through it, Al.
I said to Jess, I said, there's only one thing we're doing between now and the end of May, and that's going to one graduation.
Family
up in Virginia. Yeah, my daughter graduates from Roanoke in May. So that's the only weekend that we're not going to. Got to be here. Just got to be here.
Yeah, but you also have to be in Virginia that weekend. That's really important for your daughter. What is she studying?
The degree it's a health science degree with a focus on physical therapy.
Oh, cool.
So whatever that title, she's told me a bazillion times, Anthony, and it goes, what?
Well, it sounds like it can lead to a lot of good careers.
She wants to be in physical therapy.
That's with our aging population, there's a huge need for that. So, that's fantastic.
I'm likely going to be her number one client very shortly, because I'm going to need a lot of physical therapy after all
especially after this project is done. I better let you go, Al. Great chatting with you.
Very good. Thanks, Anthony. Okay. And, hopefully we see you next Thursday.
Yeah, I'm going to see. I'll check my schedule and I'll text you, let you know if I can make it. But I'll try to do that.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, great.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Have a nice weekend.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Good to see you. All right, everybody. And we'll be back next week. And Anthony, I'm sure, is going to be joining us. I hope that you join us, because it's a lot more fun to have somebody with me and have a chit chat. So again, thanks, Anthony. And we will see everybody next week. All right.